Andrew Garfield is literally the daddy of all daddies, and even my ego can't handle that. But you know what? For the next 5 minutes, I will accept being the daddy of all daddies, whatever that means.
Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back. So, today I'm going to be taking you through a passion project of sorts. These past few days, there has been this sudden obsession or admiration pouring for Andrew Garfield, and I'm officially joining this bandwagon. So, this got me curious to understand why this sudden obsession about him is taking place, and to also read his astrological chart to uncover why he is the way he is, which I guess nobody else seems to have done yet. So, if you are interested to get to know Andrew Garfield a little more, keep on watching and redirect some, not all, of your love for him to this video as well, as this really is a labor of love. So please like and subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's get on with this video. Starting off by first uncovering the reason behind this obsession with Andrew Garfield that has been taking place recently, also, rightfully so, looking at the Mahadasha that he is going through right now is his Jupiter Mahadasha. So a little background about what a Mahadasha basically is, that a certain amount of years of your life are ruled by one planet in your birth chart, so its effects get amplified in that period of time. So when we make a Jupiter Mahadasha chart by taking his Scorpio Jupiter in the first house, we can see that it's aspecting his Rahu or North Node by the 7th aspect. Rahu already is going through the nodes present in his chart on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. Hence, it's already even more powerfully manifesting in his chart right now. Jupiter is a planet that brings expansion, while Rahu or the North Node brings obsession or focus. Hence, we see that the general masses have really woken up to his charm, wit, personality, and wisdom. Going into his astrological chart, which has been evaluated through the lens of Vedic astrology, we will start by looking at his sun first. Andrew has a sun in the sign of Leo in his 7th house. Sun in astrology denotes your personality and soul, and this being present in the sign of Leo shows that he is dedicated to the creative arts, as Leo signifies one's creative talent. A usual archetype of Leo, which is denoted by a lion's head as its sign, is that these natives have great hair. And we see that he has a prominent placement of his sun dignified here, hence his wonderful hair.
She says it's like a flowing mane. She was like really impressed by it. She talked about it in the interview. But has it always been like this, where it's just like always kind of like messy, but not really?
I can't help the way I was born.
You got really intense on it.
Oh, that's because as soon as the mask comes off, it should just be like whatever. It should just be like wild.
So even now you're pulling on it, and it's like perfectly in place.
You really do have beautiful hair. I mean, that is quite a mane you've accumulated there. How long does it take for something to grow it out like that?
Another thread of similarities of Leos can be their egos, as it's a sign which is ruled by the sun, and it can cause a person to have a boasted sense of self and hence ego.
I can't believe I lived through shave Andrew Garfield, long hair Andrew Garfield, mustache Andrew Garfield, and now blonde Andrew Garfield. He really gave it all to us. This is tricky because the ego is such a delicate thing, and I'm a Leo man, and it's very, very hard for me not to. Flattery is the way into my heart. I'm trying to take these and just kind of bow so that the compliments kind of fly over my head. You know, that was the original impetus behind the inventing bowing after a performance or whatever. It was actually to let the applause fly over your head so you didn't get inflated. I kind of dig that. So this is like a real test for me to not get egotistical.
And also, as the 7th house is the house of the sign of love and partnerships, this is a major focus in his life. So relationships which are either platonic or intimate are really important to him.
I love observing people, I love meeting people, I love being in the world and with people, and I'm a bit sometimes I get a bit angry at myself for having created the reality that I've created, where it's harder to meet strangers without an expectation.
While also looking at his 7th house, we see the presence of his Venus in the sign of Leo is also here. But a noticeable thing here is that the Venus in his chart is retrograde, which means there is a struggle when it comes to relationships. Although Venus is strongly placed in the 7th house, still it is at a disadvantage here because Sun is extremely powerfully conjunct with it. So it combusts the significance of the Venusian energies of love and harmony. His Sun and Venus both being conjunct in Leo, that denotes soul, personality, art, and pleasure, is all related to the creative arts, as Venus is a significator of that. In this conjunction, Sun is at a lower degree, which makes it even more powerful than the Venus here. And hence, we can also expect him to really affirm his identity through the art that he produces.
My mother came in and saved the day. She said, "What about something creative?" And I said, "Well, okay." So I tried painting, rubbish. I tried sculpture, rubbish. I tried music, rubbish. I tried, I tried all of the things. And then she was like, "Well, what about theatre and acting, a story and acting and creating art?" Feels like, you do feel that art. I need art in my life. I need the world to be made sense of in order to feel welcome here, in order to feel belonging here, and my connection to the world and to nature. And art is such an important thing.
Moving on to the reasons behind his eloquence, he has his Mercury, which is a planet of communication and interests, present in the sign of Virgo, which represents articulate and precise way of communicating. Whenever you listen to Andrew speak, it's a joy to one's ears, as the vocabulary he uses and the baritone of his voice all leads such a pleasant hearing experience in general. Mercury is present in his 8th house, though this can be a little difficult because the 8th house usually deals with secrets and mysteriousness. It also deals with the occult and spirituality. So this can basically represent opposite energies, wherein he feels more articulate and comfortable while talking about the things which aren't known to the majority of people. Mercury being present in its own sign also helps with developing different accents and learning languages.
His vintage New York styling and tick tick boom is but the latest in the series of impressive accents he's commanded over the years. Here's a deeper look at how Andrew Garfield's accent game is beyond impressive.
Consciously, it would have to be a human, although I'm sure before humans existed in the cosmos and on Earth, there are forms of life that... Did anyone else think about my octopus teacher being someone else that thought that there was some... I just read one thing online. God, why did I agree to this? Why, Andrew Garfield? Don't ask me that, because I will talk for hours, and I will fall into an existential funk, and I will find my way through it, and I will realize the meaning of life, but I won't be able to express it, and it will be a whole waste of time for you, but not for me, so I don't want to subject you to that. Where is Andrew Garfield? I'm searching, I'm always trying to figure that out.
One of the most fascinating and revelatory placements in his chart that completely describes him to the T is his Jupiter and Ketu or South Node conjunction in the sign of Scorpio in his 10th house. A conjunction of Jupiter and Ketu makes a person extremely spiritual. Jupiter is the significator of philosophy and learning, while Ketu is a significator of detachment and spirituality. So when both of these energies conjoin, they make a person detached from the social constructs and be more spiritually inclined.
And I prayed for a year. I never prayed before, really. And I developed a relationship with a power greater than myself. Call it God, call it love, call it what you will. Insert your belief system here. I realized that we're praying all the time. It's just we're not conscious of what we're praying to. There's that human impulse to worship and to exalt and to long for connection to the divine. We are, unfortunately, in our culture, being driven and guided more often than not to worship things that are false and empty, like celebrity culture, like consumerism, consumer goods, a new pair of shoes, popularity, being a success by what modern standards mean.
Why don't we need movie stars?
I think sometimes there's this idealization of people in the public eye, and there's this false kind of idealized vision, this like false perfection that I think is projected from people in that position. And I think sometimes it can create a little bit of dissatisfaction with our own, because I don't consider myself a movie star at all, and I never will.
Hold on.
But,
is he a movie star?
No.
For other people to say whether you're a star or not.
All right, but we're all stars, Stephen. Is the point? We're all made. Well, speaking of Neil deGrasse Tyson, we are all made of stardust. Are we not? I think what I'm saying is sometimes there's a tendency to focus on this idea of perfection, which I think doesn't give us permission to accept our whole selves in our entirety, our own beingness. I think it kind of creates this not enoughness in the culture, where you're constantly looking up to things that aren't actually real, but are pretending to be real and more perfect than you. That's how I feel when I look at movies.
This conjunction takes place in his 10th house of career, recognition, reputation, fame, honor, and promotion. So Andrew has a very strong moral compass, is spiritual, and has a wise, learned vibe to him.
How many Andrew Garfield movies are there? I have no idea. Not many. I haven't made many movies comparatively to other people because I'm a picky son of a gun. I'm either called to a film or I'm not. What's with Andrew Garfield simultaneously starring in 2 based on true story pro-Christian set in Japan movies, Silence and Hacksaw Ridge? What's with that? What's happened that way? There were these 2 projects that I read. They both happened to be set in Japan. I happen to play a Catholic and a Seventh-day Adventist in both. There are spiritual quest things, and they just appeal to me. Nate Fleming says, I would love to know how Andrew Garfield makes his acting choices. He's playing Jim Baker in the new film. He played a priest in Silence. He played the devout soldier in Hacksaw Ridge. I wonder why he's drawn to these roles. You know, I like to stretch. I like to stretch my consciousness, and I like to feel as much empathy for as many people alive as possible. And I think that's pretty what draws me to this range of people. I like to feel like I'm being challenged.
Jupiter in astrology is also known as guru, or teacher/mentor.
And mentor younger people who are going out on their first auditions, who are kind of like, who have that, who it's inevitable to have that, like, how am I going to make ends meet? I don't want to work at Starbucks for the rest of my life. I want to be able to make a living off of it. And it's interesting that we don't have that. Even like just this now, talking to a bunch of actors around a table is just so rare and beautiful to be able to say, oh yeah, we have similar things that we kind of like struggle with. And I don't know, I find it quite, mentorship is such an interesting thing that I don't think we really have as much in our community that maybe.
Ketu here brings detachment from being famous or recognized. The same effect is caused here by the sign of Scorpio being present in the 10th house, which brings forth a habit of being secretive and mysterious in relation to one's life in the fame.
The attention, which I struggled with, to be honest, the visibility, the being known, the not being able to walk around the street and just have a relationship or have a meal with people. I found that quite intrusive and quite difficult. My thing is I have to not be shut down because I can get very, like a turtle, I can get very protective of my life and of my myself.
Looking at the placement of Mars in his chart to see why he's such a pacifist, I wasn't surprised to see Mars in his chart is debilitated in Cancer. This shows that he does not have a temper that can be aggravated easily. He's a believer in non-violence.
In a healthy relationship.
His drive and passion as represented by Mars is in relation to his craft or career and by serving others, as represented by the 6th house. He will serve others by being emotionally vulnerable, as represented by the sign of Cancer being present in the 6th house.
The work is when I feel most in the center of what I'm doing, it's of service. It feels like service, telling a story and acting.
That story is so much about honoring the ancestors. I would try to commune. I would just say, use me, and be with me here in the room, and let me heal you as I try to heal myself and try to heal an audience, and using the words of this play and the ideas of this play. There's nothing better than feeling like you're serving something greater, right?
This placement of Mars in the 6th house also shows athleticism and agility in one's body. 6th house has Virgo energies as being the 6th zodiac sign. Hence, we also see how critical and perfection-oriented he can get about his art.
Why have you been hiding your light under a bushel?
I didn't know. It's not that. I didn't. The jury's still out. You know,
the jury's in. We've seen the clips. You have a beautiful singing voice.
Well, that's very sweet. The court of public opinion will either prove you right or wrong. But I'm very excited for that to happen. You know, you can put me in the stocks and throw rotten tomatoes at me if it's not to your liking.
The director never says, "I saw you in this, and I think you."
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, but you know, I just put it down to bald-faced luck. Every time I get a job, I jump for joy and I thank something outside of myself. You know, that's my perspective on it. You know, I feel like I honestly don't give myself much credit.
You had no idea if you'd given a good performance or a bad performance.
Yeah, the struggle remains. It's still there.
Do you have those moments after every film of...
I have a blind spot about self-worth, I suppose. There is no way I can do it. I'm a fraud. I have nothing to offer. That was the first feeling I had.
Another one of his major placements that attributes to his ease in showing vulnerability and his high emotional quotient is the placement of his moon in the sign of Capricorn in his 12th house. Generally, moon in Capricorn is a placement that isn't very emotional and tries to be rational and grounded with their emotions. This placement can manifest a person whose work can emotionally influence them to a great extent and who would use their work as a means to escape their emotions as well. But then why is Andrew so different from this? And when it comes to being vulnerable and emotionally expressive, is because his moon is in the 12th house, which shows he feels emotions very deeply and has high empathy for people. It also shows that he has really good intuition. Moon in the 12th house also denotes isolation, and such people with placements like these can really need their alone time or solitude to feel emotionally satisfied and stable. As Capricorn is a sign that is ruled by Saturn that denotes people who are lower than your social rank, and the 12th house also denotes losses, it can show that Andrew gets his mental peace by being able to show empathy and help people less fortunate than him.
So that every city we'd go to, we would go and visit a small local philanthropic organization and bring all of the energy and attention that we had from this character and this story. Actually, there was a way of redirecting it towards, you know, those more kind of underdog Peter Parker organizations around the world. So that was the kind of remedy for me.
Lastly, to round off the placements of birth chart, we see that he has Saturn in Libra in his 9th house. What it tells us about Andrew is that he's a believer of justice.
If blonde Andrew Garfield ever kills me, see, I knew it was going to get violent. I knew it was going to get violent. It always gets violent. If blonde Andrew Garfield ever kills me, do not prosecute him because he caught me slipping. That is on me. God, man, this shit is tricky. Do prosecute me if I ever kill this person because I love justice. I wish Andrew Garfield would whisper, "You better lawyer up, asshole," in my ear. You better lawyer up, asshole.
Saturn in Libra is exalted. Saturn represents the downtrodden people in the social ranks, and Libra, whose zodiac sign is denoted by the measuring equalizing scale, represents justice. So he's passionate about being of service to people, mostly overlooked in society, and bringing them justice. Saturn as a planet can denote hurdles, fears, and karma, while Libra is a sign of partnership and love. This brings forth the possibility of the karma in this life for him to be surrounding his partnerships and love, which is also shown by his retrograde Venus in the chart. Saturn being present in the 9th house also shows that his relationship with his own religious or spiritual beliefs are going to be tumultuous, and that he's also going to receive divine knowledge of the same from the most learned and older wise individuals. I've gotten to understand Andrew Garfield a little more by the end of this video. I have also been thinking of making a video on his and Emma Stone's chemistry. Even though their relationship is over, still it's interesting to see what can make such a great relationship that is beloved by all. So if you would like to see that video, please drop a comment in the comment section and I shall get that made soon too. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, take care you all.